Ah, hey everyone, it's Razor. This is the Horror Syndicate's horror movie Massacre. And tonight we will be doing exactly what the thumbnail said, counting down the top 10 horror films of 1980. We did 1985 last week, had a great time with that, and now we're going to do the rest of the 80s every week coming up. This is actually the top 10 horror films from the year I was born. I was born May 25th, 1980, 4 days after The Empire Strikes Back was released, 3 years to the day after Star Wars A New Hope was released, and 3 years to the day before Return of the Jedi was released, May 25th. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so just want to throw that in there. Fun fact about 1980, I was born May 25th. My mom was a horror nut, and she could not wait to see Friday the 13th. So the story goes that she, 2 weeks into my life, took me to a crowded theater to watch Friday the 13th, which is pretty cool. So I was maybe 2.5 weeks old at that point. She said I slept through the whole thing, which is funny because now when I watch Friday the 13th, I sleep through the whole thing. No, but she said I was good, and that was my first theatrical experience, which is kind of cool. Of course, I don't remember it. I was a couple weeks old, but pretty fun little story my mom told me that she shared with me. If you haven't done this, or if you are new here, a quarter of that number on YouTube. We're at closing in on 2,000 follower subs on YouTube. So please like the video if you can, like the whatever. We absolutely want you to comment. And don't forget, we have a Facebook group where you can go in and start your own conversations. It's called the Horror Syndicate Group. So check all that stuff out, and I will invite. Well, he's a gentleman, to be honest, a good friend of mine. I, you know, I call him a pal, the one, the only, Seth Miller. How are you,
Not
friend?
not your buddy guy.
I'm not your buddy guy. I'm not your pal, friend. So you had a little bit of difficulty with this one. You
Yeah.
had to catch up and watch a couple movies. You had, what was it, 6 or 7 that you had already seen?
Six. So like it was funny because like when we talked about doing this episode, I'm like, yeah, no problem.
Right.
I can do 10 easy. And then as I'm like looking up the list, I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot that I haven't seen, and there's admittedly there was quite a bit that I should have seen, but
Yeah, and hopefully, maybe we can revisit this in the future once you've seen, a bunch of other ones, because there are a couple that you missed that I definitely suggest. I'm glad that you were able to catch up on a couple of them.
yeah,
This guy had never seen Friday the 13th. How about that? No,
yeah, right. Imagine that.
this guy is a huge John Carpenter fan and never saw The Fog. What the fuck is going on here? No, what did you ended up catching up with City of the Living Dead? You watched Inferno. These are also my recommendations. And what else was Humanoids from the Deep?
Humanoids from the Deep.
Yeah. Um, Let me ask, what do you think of Humanoids from the Deep?
It was fun. It's a
Yeah.
it's a it's a creature feature by way of slasher.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's these creatures want to mate with all these naked, beautiful women with beautiful boobs. But yeah, so I would like to do a recap if you don't mind. But first, I'll go ahead and say tomorrow you're bringing back Werewolf Wednesday. Tell us about this title here.
Yeah, Project Metal Beast. It's a film from 1995, and it's one that I've enjoyed quite a bit. It's a definition B movie. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, it's got Kim Delaney, Barry Botswick, and Kane Hodder plays the werewolf in it.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Um, yeah, and I've been itching to watch it again, and then I was browsing our website, thehorrorsyndicate.com.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I saw that I did a review for it. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to watch that again. So I'm going to rewatch it and then talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing it back. And for those who don't know, Wolfman comes out this weekend. And if I do get the chance to see it, which I plan on, we should be doing, both of us, Werewolf Wednesday next week.
Yep.
And we'll be doing a kind of a review of Wolfman. So before we get moving, oh, Yeah, before we get moving on with the list, I want to do a recap. We did 1985 last week. There's no audio here, but here's a quick video of the list if you missed the video on YouTube or if you missed the video on our Facebook page. So here it is. It's about 30 seconds long. No audio, I think. I wonder if they can hear us because I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that I'll take responsibility for Howlin' 2 being on a top 10 list.
That's okay. I mean, I think it turned out to be a pretty strong list. When I posted each one individually on Facebook, uh, believe it or not, Silver Bullet got a great response.
Yeah.
Lots of people were commenting on how much fun it is. It's a good werewolf movie.
Yeah.
We had like 400 or 500 reactions, which was very surprising. And I think a lot of people thought that Return of the Living Dead would be kind of the obvious choice for 1985. And cool. It's a great movie. It's so
It
much
is a
fun.
great movie, yeah.
Whoop, I hit the button on accident. But yeah, so everybody, okay, they can't hear us. Cool. That's actually great then, because we can kind of go over
Yeah.
it as we go, even though it's like 30 seconds long. Um, the bottom three, yes, they do, especially Matilda May from Life Force. I'm all for the nakedness. I'm just saying. The bottom three, is that a pun? I'm just saying. What about the movie with Jamie Lee Curtis, Terror Train? So
That's 81,
Jamie
isn't
Lee
it?
Curtis is definitely not in Friday the 13th, but there are a couple movies that I will tell you right now that will not be on our top 10. Terror Train's one of them. It's
I like
wasn't
Terror.
on two of our lists, so that really kind
Well,
of ruined that.
was Terror Train 80 or was it 81?
It's 80.
It is 80. Okay.
Yeah. Terror Train, New Year's Evil, both not on our list. Altered States, which is a shame because that's a fun one. Have you seen that?
No,
Obviously, I guess you
but
haven't.
I think I have that.
It's good. I like it. And a lot of these didn't make it. Like Fade to Black's one that I asked the people at Horror Syndicate about. I've never seen it. Three of us haven't seen that. Alligator, only one person actually saw that. Anthropophagus, I think I'm the only one who saw that. And Prom Night did not make the list. So there's a lot of. I think you'd be surprised as to how many horror films are from 1980. Seth said 1983 is going to be a dumpster fire, and he's probably right. That's one of the lowest. Probably, I don't think I'm going to be wrong on saying it's the worst year for horror in the 80s. Uh,
Now, there was only like two great horror films of 83.
Cujo and what's the other one?
Nope, not I didn't even think of Cujo.
Yeah, Cujo's in there.
Okay, so Cujo's decent. I was thinking Psycho 2 and Christine.
Okay, and which one?
John Carpenter, Stephen King's Christine.
Oh, yeah. But Cujo's. I'm gonna look at my list because I keep a list on my phone of all the horror movies by year of what I watched. So I'm gonna take a quick peek at. We may not even be able to do 10. Amityville 3D, Jaws 3D, Mausoleum, Videodrome. That's a good one. Have you seen that?
Videodrome?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's in '83.
Yeah.
Cujo, Sleepaway
I forgot
Camp.
about that one. I forgot about Videodrome. Okay.
I did too.
Yeah.
Christine, A Blade in the Dark, Psycho 2, The Hunger, Mortuary, Twilight Zone, the movie, The Final Terror. So there are 10 at least, but not great. So, but we'll have fun anyway. We'll be doing 1981 next week, which I already know what Seth's favorite is. Huh?
So that's a stacked year.
Yeah. Um, I've already got Nate's and Jared's list, and I think mine's also done. Uh, I would assume An American Werewolf in London will just be your list. Howling and An American Werewolf in London. That's your list, right?
Of course. Sky Blue. Is water wet?
Metal Beast on Tubi. We'll have my thoughts on that. Is it on Tubi?
Yes, it is. It's for free on Tubi. It's also free on, I think, Fandango at home. And then, or you could rent the HD version on Prime Video for like $1.99. I put the links actually of where to watch it in the description when I created the setup for tomorrow's show.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1983 is a week. Yeah, it's one of the. There's only 2 years in the 80s that do not have a Friday the 13th movie. Can you name the other? Not you, them. I know you probably know. Don't forget about this horror film called People with these black leopards going around attacking and killing people. It was the father from Home Alone. That was 1982. Cat People. It's a good movie. Natasha Kinski.
I haven't seen that one either, and actually, I got the Scream Factory.
Watch it. You definitely got to watch it before we do that show. That's a good one.
I went through and I looked at 81, 82, and 83, and like I made like a list of on one side all the films that I've seen, and then on the other side the films that I should have seen.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, I'll be watching quite a few movies before we do these shows.
So Trekpedia brings up a cool point about cat people. Annette O'Toole from Smallville, Martha Kent is in it, and her boobies are out. So watch those in high definition. Yes, 1987 and 1983, no Friday the 13th. '88 had Part 7. All right. So anyway, let's go ahead and get on with our list. You guys now have heard, not that. God, my mouse is like finicky. We do have our top 30 video if you guys want to see it. It's a minute long. I was going to play it later on, but let's get into the countdown, our top 10. And I think it's pretty fair. I didn't have any complaints from the guys. Do you think they should make horror films with black leopards or normal leopards? That's a topic I just don't want to broach because I don't care. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I've seen these scenes from yeah, I saw those scenes before I ever saw the movie, just saying. Anyway, so let's get on with our list of top 10 horror films of 1980. Are you ready, Seth?
Yeah.
All right. So coming in at number 10 is Humanoids from the Deep. This had the benefit of 3 of us seeing it. And that's probably why it's number 10. This movie is pure schlock, lots of fun. The one thing I liked about it, and I wanted to ask you, what did you think about the creature design?
I thought they looked cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, I don't know, kind of
dripping wet all the time.
Yeah, it was like slimier, creepier versions of the creature from Black Lagoon, to a certain extent.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I saw it, I believe, on Joe Bob Briggs one night. I think that's how I saw it, and it's a lot of fun. It's silly. There's random fights. The creatures look great. There's a good amount of boobies, which is always grade A for me. Question, please. What would the Scream movie be like if it released in the 1980s? That's a topic we'll have to discuss when we talk about Scream again. I have no idea. It'd probably be more over the top. What do you think, Seth?
I mean, I don't know, because the thing with Scream is it has the benefit of seeing all those movies from the 80s. So if it existed in the 80s, it wouldn't be what it is. So
yeah, they probably wouldn't have made a Scream movie in the 80s.
It's a pure 90s film.
I think I look at boobs too much.
Got an addiction, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. And it's not dangerous to anybody. So that was number 10 was the Humanoids from the Deep. I think it's on Shudder. How'd you see it? Did you watch it on something?
I had to rent it, I believe. No, wait, no. I didn't rent it. I think it was I think it was free to watch on Prime. It was on Prime Video.
Okay, I was gonna say money well spent.
Or maybe it was. Fuck if I know now.
Yeah. Well, it's somewhere out there. Just Google it. You'll find it that way. Next up on our list is number 9. It is Maniac. And Seth, you haven't seen this one yet. So I
No.
will spare you from spoilers, but Joe Spinell's in it. You may remember him from Rocky. He was Rocky's boss when he was a thug. I don't know if you even like Rocky, do you?
Yeah, I do.
And he's also in The Godfather Part 2. But it's a slasher. I'm not a fan of this one. Tom Savini has a role in it, but Nate loves it. Jared loves it. A lot of horror fans love this movie. Uh, I think you might like it though. It kind of it that 1970s early 80s, of course, dirty ass New York vibe. It's not too bad. It kind of reminds me of an Italian horror film, giallo almost. But that's all I'm going to say about it because I don't want to spoil it for you because I want you to be able to witness it and see it for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was one that I really wanted to get to, but I ran out of time.
Yeah,
Uh, I didn't really think of doing the catch up thing until too late. Was it
mm,
the other night when we were
yeah.
talking? I
I
was
think
like,
it
oh
was
shit,
Sunday or Monday you decided to do it, which is yesterday or Sunday. No, it was Sunday
it
you
was
decided
Sunday.
to do
Yeah,
it.
'cause I
Yeah,
was watching football, and
right.
then I was
You
like,
had to
I don't
celebrate the
really
Bills
have time,
win.
and
Yeah,
I was just like, you know what, I should probably get on this. So
yeah, and now you got a week to get on the 1981s, and there's a couple that I'm gonna try to watch myself. So anyway, I think you'll like Maniacs. It wasn't on my list, but it's actually it may have been, but it's definitely worth a watch, and it's definitely a highlight for the 1980s. Sorry, I got a burp coming. And I do think a lot of people here probably would like it, Maniac. I saw the remake is fantastic because it's actually told from the point of view of the killer who's Elijah Wood. I really, really like the remake a lot. That's definitely one to watch if you can find it. It was on Netflix for a while. I took it off, and now it's like hard to find, but it's definitely worth watching. It came out in 2014,
okay,
um, or no, maybe earlier than that, 2011, something like that. Coming on at number 8 on our list is Cannibal Holocaust. Now, Jared had this high on his list. Otherwise, it wouldn't have made the list. And I'm glad it did make the list. And this is another one I don't think you've seen, is it?
mm-mm.
Okay, so you know the premise. This is one of the most controversial horror films of all time. The director went to jail because they thought that he actually had those watched while those people got eaten alive. There's animals being killed on screen in the movie. But a couple things, I don't like this movie almost at all. It's too realistic, I guess, and it's one of the early found footage movies. It's played that way. It's not found footage because the blonde cameraman in this is in House by the Cemetery. I mean,
Okay.
no, he's in City of Living Dead. He's one of the guys that they're getting ready to bury Mary. And he's like, we're on our lunch break.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this definitely belongs on a top 10 list in the 1980 because it's got that it's got that what do you call it? Stigmatism behind it, and I can't think of the word, but yeah, I don't like it. It's not for me. But yeah, it's one of the most infamous horror movies. I think it also was on a lot of the European video nasty lists, banned in the UK. So yeah, it's on Shutter. I think it was. I watched it because I had to. I will say one thing about this: has an amazing score. That's one of the big things I like about this. But for fun cannibal movies, I like Cannibal Ferox better. I like Eaten Alive better. There's a few other ones that are just. This one's just too. I don't know. I just don't like it. But Jared loves it, and we love Jared. So I do think Cannibal Holocaust is probably a movie that most horror fans should watch at some point. Got 20 minutes. Yeah, Serbian film I'll never watch, and Human Centipede I have no. Do you have any interest in watching Cannibal Holocaust?
Uh, yes. I mean, I've heard of it for a long time now.
It's got to
Um,
be one of the most infamous horror films.
yeah, yeah. And it's just one that I didn't
Speaking
think.
of,
Hey, buddy.
my man, yeah, Jared, I think he had this at 2 or 3 on his list, so had to fit it in there, and I do believe it belongs on there. Seth, that's one you might want to try to seek. I think this year, the 2025 theme for horror for Seth is playing catch up on some of those kind of classics or infamous ones you've missed, like Cannibal Holocaust, and of course Humanoids from the Deep. Let's face it, that's one of the greatest. Jared, I wish you could have sat in with us tonight, man. I can always send you the link if you're available. Just saying.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to blow through the ones you haven't seen, Seth. That way, because you don't really have anything to say about them. So,
Well, it's fine.
yeah, number 7 is Nate's list. This was number 2 on Nate's list. I've never seen it, the Ninth Configuration, but Nate has said, and I think this is on Tubi. Nate did say that he thinks all of us would really love this movie, so I'm definitely going to give it a shot. To be honest, I have no clue if this is even a screenshot from the movie, but it came up whenever I I googled it, so I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, so definitely gonna check this one out. I'm like I said, you're gonna be doing some catch up. I'm gonna do the same because Nate's got all these movies he always mentions. That, and one of them he mentioned today was some BBC thing. I didn't finish reading the message, but I think he wants to do a show. It says on Shudder. It's called Ghost Watch. It's like a broadcast TV. Anyway, he said that we should watch that. I don't know if he wants to do a show on it or not. But yeah, this was number 2 on Nate's list, so that's why it's ranked so highly and on here. You better get on here sometime, my friend.
That's right.
Yeah, never been a fan of that movie. I'm guessing. Yeah. This is available on Tubi. If you have Tubi, Ninth Configuration, Nate highly suggests it. Number 6 is The Changeling. And this has got to be one. And Seth, you didn't watch this one, right?
Nope, that was
Okay.
that was on my to watch list, but
So
ran out.
you're not a big haunted house guy, but the
Right.
performance that George C. Scott has in this is phenomenal. The house is great. There's some really great chills in this movie. It's kind of slow paced, but if the beginning doesn't kick you right in your dick at the very beginning when there's snow, then you're not human. So, but no, I definitely suggest this. I bought this blind without ever seeing it in, I think it was 2018 when 2019. Jared and I were at, I think it was Horror Hound, and Severin had a booth, and I saw it sitting there, and it's got a beautiful presentation as far as the Blu-ray goes. I was like, I've never seen that, and I've heard a lot about it, and so I bought it and loved it. So I definitely would check it out. It's on Shudder, I do believe. Let's see what we got here. I have to look really hard because I'm using my Chromebook. Everything's small, like my wiener. 1987 didn't have a Friday the 13th. Yep. Oh, by the way, if anybody, Fathom Events is going to be showing Hellraiser early February. Yeah, Seth and I are super fucking stoked. If you have a theater that has Fathom Events around you, go. It's going to be 4K. It's going to be amazing. I've never seen, and you've probably never seen Hellraiser on the big screen, have you?
No, I have not, and
Yeah.
I'm super excited. Like I confirmed with the guys earlier today, my buddies I'm going with, that that we're doing Wednesday the 5th,
Yep,
and
that's
I
what I'm
got
going
our
to do it too.
tickets. Got our tickets, and so I'm not
Excellent.
gonna be doing a Werewolf Wednesday that night because
No, you'll be doing
Hellraiser on
something way
the big
more
screen.
important. Be way more
Hellraiser on the
important.
big screen, man.
Oh yeah.
Remastered Hellraiser. Oh, it's gonna be so great.
I'm excited. I cannot freaking wait. It's going to be great.
I
I
can't
feel
wait
like
to hear that Christopher Young score.
I know. That's just took the words out of my fucking mouth. I was like, I feel like that the score is going to be one of my favorite parts because I love the fucking score. That and Candyman have two of the best scores I think of the 80s and 90s. And I haven't seen Candyman on big screen either, and that's on my bucket list. But the score is so fucking amazing in Hellraiser. That's one of the things I'm really excited about is hearing that surround sound just booming. It's gonna be great. So check that out. Yes, The Changeling was always on. It's always on one of the scariest movie moments of all time. So definitely worth watching. Uh-oh. Somebody is sharing stuff. I think it's Jared. There you go. There's the link. Check
That's
out
me.
Hellraiser on the big screen. Hellraiser, a classic. The rest of the series, pretty much. Yeah, it's not great. Seth's a huge fan, and we
Sean
love him
Sheridan's
for
a
it.
fan of Inferno. He
That's
knows.
true. Because we did the whole thing, didn't we?
Yep.
Fathom didn't do the original Elm Street. Yeah, I at this point I'm looking forward to 2028. Maybe we'll get a 40th anniversary of Dream Master on the big screen. Probably not, but you know, but I did see that on the big screen back then. Anyway, all right, Seth. I think we're getting into the movies that you have seen. So coming in at number 5 is Inferno. Okay, yes. I love this movie. So I told you, and I was like, I hope I'm not hyping it. I like this better than the Argentos that everybody talks about. I like Deep Red, in my opinion, is Argento's finest film, and there's a lot of other ones. The Bird with Crystal Plumage is really good, but people know about that Deep Red, and as Jared Letourneau would say, Profondo Rosso. But Deep Red and Suspiria are always the ones everybody talks about. But man, I saw Inferno and I just loved it. One of the things I like about this movie is it's kind of a sequel to Suspiria, but not really. And it delves a little bit deeper into the mythology and the mystery of the three mothers. And that's one of the things I like the most. And I love the apartment building and the aspects behind that. Like you could Daria Nicoletti, who was Dario Argento's wife at one point, was in it, and she could hear people's conversations and stuff. There's a lot to this movie. It's beautifully shot. I do like the score quite a bit. I love this movie. I really like. I know you said yesterday that you like Suspiria and Deep Red better, but what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it, and pretty much like you said, it's kind of a sequel to Suspiria. It feels like the next progression of the three mothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of the mythology there, and I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. I mean, first off, the sets, the set design, just amazing. The apartment building looked great. I love Argento's use of color as well. Um, I really liked that scene where there was that the chick from the beginning and that guy that she met in the elevator, and they're in her um, apartment or whatever, and the music's playing, but it keeps going in and out, and
Mhm.
he's
The lights are kind of going on and off.
yeah,
Yeah.
he checks the fuse box. I like that whole scene. Yeah, I thought it was pretty damn good. Uh, uh, like I mentioned, I think I do like Suspiria maybe a little bit more. But you know what's funny? A little kind of a side note here. So I've seen now Suspiria and Inferno. So I only got
Mhm.
one more film to go in this trilogy, right?
Yeah. Mother of Tears.
Yep. I've also seen The Beyond and
Mhm.
City of Living Dead. So I got one more film in that trilogy.
Ah, okay.
So
So let me tell you, the third one's the weakest in all three. But Argento waited uh, till 2007 to make Mother of Tears, and it
Jesus,
stars
wow.
his daughter Asia, which is great. But and I think she's naked in it too. He films her naked way too much. Well, I take that back. Um, but yeah, I like Mother of Tears, where a lot of people said it fell flat. I enjoyed it. And House by the Cemetery is generally everybody's least favorite of the three, but I like it quite a bit. There is a really annoying character in it named Bob. He doesn't have bitch tits though. So to answer the question that's not about our topic, where are Sasquatch Bigfoot movies in the 1980s? Harry and the Hendersons. That's the best one.
There you go. That's a classic.
Yeah, I mean, there's a movie called Sasquatch that came out in 1976, but there aren't many Bigfoot movies. The Legend of I don't know if The Legend of Bogey Creek is a werewolf movie or a Bigfoot movie or not. I think there is a Disney movie called Bigfoot from the 80s or something. I don't remember, honestly. Um, that's also not what we're talking about right now. There's a movie called Night of the Demon, came out in 1980. I've never seen that one, but it's on my list of movies to watch. It is a Bigfoot movie from 1980. Yeah. Jennifer Connelly is also in an Argento movie called Phenomena. It's a good movie. There's a lot of Argento movies I could suggest. 1982, instead of making The Mother of Tears, which I think he should have because they would all have been within 5 or 6 years of each other. He made a movie called Tenebra.
Hmm.
Excellent film though. Excellent movie. Check it out.
I've heard you talk about that one before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's like I hate like you ask me for these like you ask definitely watch that for the 1982 show because that might actually make your list. But like I hate it's like you're like, oh, you got any Italian suggestions? I'm like, what the fuck movies have I seen? And I can never remember which ones I've seen. But now I'm like talking about it, like Argento, I've seen probably Jared's seen the most. Jared's our resident Italian guy. Not like that's not his ethnicity, but he's the one who really like ushered in the my love for Italian movies by he's like, oh, you got to check out this movie, that movie. And I remember when I first met Jared, I was just like, okay, Deep Red, buying that. Okay, Don't Torture a Duckling. Okay, I'm buying that. Bird with Crystal Plumage. Okay, buying that. I just bought them, just trusting Jared. And I love Jared for that. I love you guys for introducing me to things other than werewolf movies. But
Werewolf Castle.
no. Werewolf Castle was the worst. Oh man! At least they tried. I will say one thing about Werewolf Castle. At least they made a movie where I never have. So
There you go.
Right.
Glass
All right. So right. So check out Inferno if you haven't. I really enjoy it. The ending is fantastic. I like the entire movie, and I think that the twist is very good in this one. By the way, do you remember that scene where they're in the I don't know, like auditorium? They're like listening to music, and there's suddenly a woman there holding a cat, just staring at the guy.
Yeah.
That's the mother of tears. That's the third mother.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
That was
Yep.
cool. That was a good. I liked that scene because
yeah,
it was like visually like unsettling to a certain degree.
exactly.
She
Yeah,
was
so
a
that
beautiful
was.
woman, but the way she was looking at him. Yeah.
Oh, I love, and she's holding a cat. It's like, what is happening here? So they of course recast her for the movie, huh?
So what in the Blofeld is happening?
Yeah, what the blow? Exactly, yeah. But so everything I've read is that was intended to be the mother of tears, the Maga Tenebrarum. I think it's Tenebrarum. Suspiriorum and Lacrimarum are the names. I think it's Tenebrarum. Anyway, I like the names. Lacrimarum, I think, is the Inferno. So Inferno's great. Check it out. I love the opening, by the way. That she goes underneath the floor and there's water and there's a whole room down there. It's a whole furnished room too. It's so crazy. The one scene it gets a lot of shit for is when the guy takes a bag of cats out to the river or whatever. So, but whatever. You can't please everyone. Keith's wife wouldn't be able to watch that scene.
No, definitely not.
Yes, and that's an excellent segue to our number 4 film, Friday the 13th. Yes, if not for 1980, we would not have the Friday the 13th franchise. And while we don't particularly hold Friday the 13th, the original film, in such high regard because movies like The Final Chapter and Jason Lives are much better.
Part two.
And part 2, yeah. This is definitely deserving to be in our list of best films. And I think it's in a good position based on our top 3. I do, regardless of thinking it's not the best, I do love Friday the 13th. It's just not aging well, and it's kind of boring compared to the others. And I know we've talked about Friday the 13th a ton, but give me some thoughts on this one.
Yeah, so this one is one that anyone who's watched our shows knows I have talked shit about this movie. For me, it's not one of the best in the franchise. That being said, because it was one that I never really liked all that much to begin with. Like for me, my fandom of Friday the 13th began with part 2, and then it just kicked off from there. Not just because of Jason, I just feel like they were better films than the first one. However, this is a film that has grown on me over the years since my initial viewings, only because I appreciate the simplicity of it. I really appreciate the location. One of the things I love watching about it is the camp itself. It just the camp in the 80s. Just, there's something about it that just kind of grabs me. This is, far from one of my favorites in the franchise, but it is growing on me. And I think it's a good film from the 1980s. I think coming in at number 4 is a good spot for it. Probably the hardcore fans may disagree with it not being number 1, but yeah, I enjoy it for what it is. It's just, I like the sequels a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't think many fans will sit there and be like, "Oh, this is not better than the final chapter. This is not better than Jason Lives." Come on. I mean, having respect, which we do for the original, we get, and there are some great like iconic moments. Like I love that scene where Steve Christie gets a flashlight shine. I'm, oh, what are you doing out in this mess? I just love that. It's kind of an iconic scene from this movie, and then the great fight between Alice and old Pamela here. There's a lot of good stuff in this movie, but like the lead up to some of the stuff is just Kevin Bacon's death scene is fantastic, but unfortunately his girlfriend Marcy or whatever, she gets the pull away, and you don't really get to see what happens to her. I mean, you know what happens to her because you see it, but you don't get to see the axe going into her head or whatever. But overall, Friday the 13th does get our respect, even though Sean Cunningham doesn't.
There we go. Perfectly said.
Sorry, I had to. I'm not a fan of his at all.
Yeah.
Seth, how dare you? Just kidding. What matters is that you enjoy the franchise. We all have different memories. Yep, absolutely. I saw this one after I'd seen the other ones, and I kept wondering where the hell Jason was. Like, I didn't know any better back then,
Yeah.
It's like watching Halloween 3 for the first time. Where the hell's Michael Myers? Yeah, we all love some Friday the 13th. When did we talk? Did we talk about that in the first season that we did this show? 2023? I think we did.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Buckle up. Because I don't think anybody's had this on their bingo card for number 3 on our list, but I think Jared had it ranked really high. I have it ranked, I think, right here. Surprisingly, Nate had it at like number 8 on his list, and then you had it ranked in the top 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it placed at number 3, and it's the immortal classic from one of the finest directors of all time in Italy, Lucio Fulci's City of the Living Dead, aka Gates of Hell. Oh my God. This was the first time you watched this, right?
Yes, it was. Watched it Sunday night.
You told me, and I believe it's something of
you can
a piece of art, masterpiece, something like that, right?
Yes, I said as soon as I was done watching it, I sent you a text saying City of the Living Dead is a horror masterpiece.
So I didn't leave that on there. Sorry about that. I love this movie. So I go back and forth. Now we've talked about The Beyond a little bit before, which I think might be Jared's favorite of the bunch of the either trilogy or the quadrilogy as I call it, because I throw Zombie in there. I think Zombie would be a great way to finish like a watching of all of them. Watch City of Living Dead, The Beyond, House by the Cemetery at the front, and then Zombie at the end. But yeah, I love this movie. Again, this was one that I kind of blind bought when Dawn of the Dead came out in 04. No, was it 04 or 05? I'm trying to think what year. No, I think it was Land of the Dead actually. So when Land of the Dead came out, me and my brother-in-law were in the zombie phase, like hardcore. I think a lot of people were, and I bought a bunch of zombie movies. There's a Zombie 3-pack. I bought Zombie the Fulci movie, or Zombie 2 in some circles. And then I got this. I was like, okay, I'm going to just go buck ass wild on some zombie movies. And I hadn't seen any of them. And my brother-in-law and I talked about it last week with Return of the Living Dead, where we were building that desk. And we watched this before we watched Return of the Living Dead. And we did not build that desk because we ended up watching this and we're like, holy shit, this is awesome. I mean, we got how many brain squeezes are in this movie? And then you got the brain squeezes. Father Thomas is a fucking icon in my opinion. And then you've got the fabulous gut puking up scene that makes a lot of people cringe. So I got to know, like, what were your thoughts? What were your big takeaways? And Kathy, one of our longtime followers, probably almost for the whole decade that we've been around, fabulous movie. Have watched it many times. Great, very atmospheric. Absolutely. Um, did they good? Zombie is a fucking beautiful movie. But yeah, what did you think of this overall? Janet Agron's beautiful. She gets naked and eaten alive. But anyway, what did you think of this movie? What were some of your favorite things? How did you deal with the gut puking scene, the drill through the head? What did you think?
Yeah, so uh, this was first time watch based on recommendation from you.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
for some reason, I thought it was the second Gates of Hell movie. For some reason, I thought the reason why I watched The Beyond was because it was the first one, but that's
That doesn't really matter.
neither here nor there.
Right.
Um, watching this one, I was very, very pleasantly surprised. Like, I mean, I haven't been steered wrong so far with the Italian suggestions. You guys have done pretty well.
And you
Demons
won't be.
1 and 2.
Look, as long as we don't give you Bruno Mattei titles, you'll be fine.
Yeah. So my takeaway was this: it's got some, I think, some really great, terrifying visuals,
Mm.
especially when uh, they do like kind of close-ups on the dead face of the chick who was married to the psychologist.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, there's something about the way that they shot her in that moment, in those moments where she was like flashing on screen, looked very terrifying. The effects are fucking awesome. The score is fucking awesome. Um, this movie was just, I loved it. Um, I was really into it, and that's why I immediately texted you like right after, because I was like, okay, this movie's awesome. I was expecting, based on the title, I was expecting like a full on like zombie movie, but it's not.
Mm-mm.
It's different, and while I don't understand certain things,
Like
I
the
guess
end.
especially the end.
Yeah.
Uh, I guess if I saw a kid running at me, I'd scream too. But yeah, it's just this was a really cool movie. This is definitely going to be one that I'm going to add to my collection
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
when I can. So yeah.
It's so. First of all, we talk about Nate. You and Nate especially talk about cinematography. Sergio Salvetti,
Yeah.
the cinematographer, and he is top notch. And you talk about the score. That's Fabio Frizzi, and Fabio Frizzi he scored Zombie and The Beyond. He is Joe Bob actually had him on a show last year, and my God, he still has it. He's chef's kiss, you know.
Yeah.
I love Fabio Frizzi, but even further, and you see this name a lot, especially in these old zombie movies from Italy. Dardano Sacchetti, he's become like a hero of mine because every single movie that he's penned, I've loved. He even had a hand in Demons.
Oh.
So yeah, Dardano Sacchetti is like he's a lot, and I don't know if you're big into westerns, but he did a lot of the spaghetti westerns. But
Hmm.
you look at movies like Mario Bava Shock, which is one I think you should watch. Zombie, City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, House by the Cemetery, New York Ripper, Manhattan Baby, Scorpion with Two Tails. Man, he's been a screenwriter on a lot of these movies, even a couple of from America. You know, Amityville 2 or 3, 2. I think it's 2 that he had a hand in writing. A Blade in the Dark. There's so many. Demons 2, of course.
Hmm.
He's the like he does the heavy lifting for Italian horror films, in my opinion. Dardano Sacchetti. So yeah, uh, most of the movies I would suggest are going to have his name attached to them. But yeah, I'm glad you liked it. What do you think of the scene in the cemetery where Mary they buried her alive and
That was
the pickaxe scene? What do you think about that?
that was a really cool scene. It, it was funny how it seemed like it kind of took forever for the guy, because it was like
Yeah.
the guy is like he thinks he hears something, and then he's just kind of like I don't know, and like it just keeps going on, and then uh, the 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 pickaxe through the coffin
Oh man.
was great. I loved it. Just
Yeah.
seeing the part of the axe come down and almost get her in the face, and it was great scene. Yeah, for sure.
And then they pull out, made the hole in there, and she's just screaming. And
Yeah.
now the weird thing is, Christopher George, I believe, redubbed his own lines. He was the main guy. Uh, Katarina McCall or Catherine McCall.
Mhm.
It's funny. She's in The Beyond also. She's also in House by the Cemetery. She's also they spelled her name differently in each movie. Her
Oh,
real
really?
name. Yeah, it's Katarina McCall. It's Catherine McCall. It's Catherine McCall or something like that. Yeah, but she got dubbed over even though she can speak English, which I don't understand because her scream in that movie, whoever did it, is phenomenal. I love that scream. That's such, in my opinion, if these movies were bigger, that'd be such an iconic scream. And I will say that our friends over at the Death Curse Society, Glenn
Mhm.
Zigzag loves this movie. This is absolutely one of his favorite movies, which I'm glad to hear because he's got some taste.
Yep.
So, and if you,
I think this was on my list because of one, because of you, and then also because of Glenn. Um,
yeah, and if you guys have not checked out Death Curse Society, check them out. I think they still do a show every Monday,
they do. Yep.
live on YouTube and live on Facebook. Good horror fans, doing a
Yep.
show. All right, number two. Now you're gonna be mad at me, but I symbolize the title. It is John Carpenter's The Fog. But I just put The Fog just to make it simple because it was really long and it's like abrasive John Carpenter. But yeah, John Carpenter's The Fog. And for me, this and Prince of
Oh,
Darkness are always one and two for me. And it could be this could be number one for me with John Carpenter any day of the week. Really, I love this movie. I love Tom Atkins.
yeah. The fog was the. I mean, I mentioned this before in one of our shows, but John Carpenter's The Fog is the film that made me a huge fan of John Carpenter himself. I mean,
Mm,
before I had seen this, I had seen some of his stuff here and there, like
right.
Halloween. I've
Sure.
seen. I saw Escape from LA in the theater when it came out. I saw Christine when I was a kid. Um, but then when I was in high school and
That's weird.
I rented this because it had his name above the title, and I was like, okay, I gotta check it out. And this is the film that just made me obsessed with John Carpenter's entire filmography. I just went from here. I just rented everything that he did, and the rest is history. This is uh, this film was number one on my list for
Yeah.
1980. This is my favorite film of 1980. Um, I love the setting. I absolutely love the score for it.
Is your dog dying?
He's just being a little whiny little bitch.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, no, he's fine. He's just, he
Just
heard
whining.
a
Okay.
yeah, he heard a car outside, and
Hmm.
um, he may have to be let outside. So I may have to get up in a minute.
That's fine.
Um, calm your fucking tits, buddy. Anyway, so yeah, the fog is Jesus Christ. All right, I'm gonna go let him out. I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay, I'll talk about it then.
Okay. You gotta go side.
So yeah, The Fog. Like I said, this is one of the ones that I teeter back and forth on whether or not it's my favorite Carpenter film. It's definitely one of my favorite. It was this was number two on my list, and I just it's hard to put into words. It's got a great cast. You get Janet Leigh working together with Jamie Lee Curtis. Even though I don't think they really share a scene together, separate when you get to the end. But you got a 45-year-old Tom Atkins, and maybe 20-year-old Jamie Lee Curtis in bed together, solidifying Tom Atkins as the man basically when it comes to horror movies. I love Tom Atkins because I'm gonna be 45 this year. If I can get a 20-year-old in bed with me, I'm gonna take it. You know what I mean? But no, but seriously, there's something about me with movies with some kind of lore, and the whole idea that this town is kind of like has this looming shadow and it's coming up on what is it? It's the bicentennial. I can't remember how many years it's been. I can't remember. Is it 100 years? Anyway, Antonio Bay is getting ready to celebrate centennial. I think it's centennial. Um, and of course, there was a deal struck back, and when this town was started, and this fog comes rolling in, and even for 1980, I think the effects were fantastic. The opening scene with the town kind of going crazy, even car alarms, which I didn't know they had back then, were going off. It's such a great movie, and I love the end of the film. It's got such a great film, such great visuals, but that's John Carpenter for you. He's such a visual storyteller, and man, this is one of my favorites. I do love Halloween. I do love the Thing and everything, but man, there's something about the atmosphere in the fog that really just gets me every time I watch it. I'm like, ooh, I get giddy and like, I love this movie so much. So yeah, I really absolutely um, used to love the fog. Yeah, I know but I meant early on in their Jamie Lee's career. I know they do that kind of call out the psycho kind of in H2O, which I'm not a fan of. 46. All right, let's have a good year. It's weird because my birthday's in May, but February 26th I will have outlived my mom, which is really strange to think about. She passed away when she was 44. Um, yeah, I was talking about some of the atmospheric uh, things about the fog and how, for some reason, I don't understand. Like, I love The Thing. By the way, did you know that his John Carpenter's The Thing is Reynolds' favorite movie, period, of all movies?
Excellent.
Yeah,
Good
but
taste.
Reynolds is my son, if anybody didn't know. But yeah, the score, the overall, like, I feel like I could spend a day in Antonio Bay and be happy, you know. And you gotta love Adrienne Barbeau. She's
Yep.
so good in this.
Yep.
And I also made mention that I'm 45. I'll be 45 in May anyway. And if I can get a 20-year-old in bed like Tom Atkins, I'm going for it. Just saying.
Are you weird?
Anyway, are you weird? Yes, I am. Let's get in bed. Uh, but yeah, the fog's excellent, man.
Yeah.
Uh, I was trying to show respect for other Carpenter movies, but like there's something about this and Prince of Darkness. Every time I watch them, like, God damn it, I just fucking love these, and I love Halloween. Halloween is probably top five horror films of all time for me. But for some reason, when I go to rank the Carpenter movies, I put this ahead of it. I don't know why,
I
but
do
I
too.
love Halloween like so much.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. And that's the thing is like, one, and we're talking John Carpenter. He's got like, you know, one of the best filmographies out there. And like, and it's
Yeah.
just so hard to rank his stuff. Really, I feel bad at having
By the
Halloween.
way, he did rank them all. By the way, we have a YouTube video where Seth ranked all 23 John Carpenter movies.
Yeah, and I had
That's
Halloween at number
27.
4. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, but
Would you have at number one? Was it In the Mouth of Madness then?
In the Mouth of Madness, yep,
Okay.
is my favorite Carpenter film, and then The Fog after that, because again, The Fog is the film
God,
that made me the Carpenter fan that I am, and then
got to
The
show
Thing,
respect.
yeah, um, and, yeah, it goes In the Mouth of Madness, The Fog, The Thing, Halloween, Assault on Precinct 13.
What an excellent fucking film.
That's right.
Yeah, I am so mad at myself for talking. Like, oh, I just don't think I'd be interested. And I watch. I'm like, God damn it, Seth.
Yep. So I told you so, right there, buddy.
Yeah, well, a big one, a big one. That movie was excellent. I don't know where I'd rank it amongst all the Carpenter films because there's just you look at his filmography, especially from 1978 to about 1994, five, somewhere in there, and you're like, is there a bad one in the bunch? I can almost go as far as to say 1998 because of vampires, but Escape from LA is not that great in my opinion. I also saw it in the theater.
I mean,
Um,
I like Memoirs of an Invisible Man, but it's
I
probably
do.
like
I do too.
it's probably like the weakest within that
That's
range.
one of the least John Carpenter movies of all time. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah, it was like that was like a paycheck film. for him. It
Yeah,
didn't have a
that
score.
right. I also think Village of the Damned is kind of underrated. I like that one.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's got Superman and Luke Skywalker in it. What more can you want?
Luke Skywalker trying to kill a bunch of kids like his father.
See, I'm not a big fan of Big Trouble in Little China.
I
Interesting
like
list
Big
though.
Trouble, but I like Big Trouble, but that's like sort of like middle of my list. I mean, because again, it's hard. He's got so many great films. I mean,
Oh, okay,
I
fine. Fine. We will do a video on a show on the top 10 John Carpenter films. All 4 lists. Are you in on that?
yes,
I'm sure I can get the other guys to be a part of that too. And you can't be mad when
I'm
the
not
thing's
gonna
number
be
one.
mad. I know that I know what 1 and 2 will likely be, and I'm fine with that.
Halloween and the thing.
But they're great films. I'm fine with that. I'll
Yeah.
set aside my own personal biases and my own
We'll see.
personal
We'll
ranking.
see. We'll see. If you get up and start storming out because, In the Mouth of Madness isn't on there, I'm going to be like, this guy. No, it should be on there because
Bale on
that's
you
in
and
my
trash
top
your
5 for
lights.
sure. Do what?
So I'm gonna go all Christian Bale on you and trash your lights.
Yeah. Oh, da, 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 da. So unprofessional, man. I'm never fucking working with you again. God, what an asshole. Actually, I don't know which one's the asshole. See, and you hit the nail on the head here. I did not see Big Trouble in Little China till I was 38. And so I have a theory that if I would have saw it back in the late 80s, in the 90s, I may have loved it. But I watched, I liked it enough, but it's like, why does everybody love this so much? Like seriously, I was forced to watch it, and I was like, it's fine. I mean,
Fun.
yeah, it's just not my favorite thing. So, all right, moving on to number one, and of course, This is the section that I will call. Can you guess what number one is? And then we'll bring back Razor Burn. How about that? I'll ask one question right now.
Not a bad question, Bert.
What's your favorite movie from 1980? Not just horror, period. Any movie from 1980. Seth, what do you think your overall number one favorite film from 1980 is?
Oh, you motherfucker! I wish
I
I
know, I
was.
got to put you on the
I
spot.
should.
What?
I'm trying to remember like everything that came out in 1980. Hold on.
Anybody who can comment and let us know in the comments what your favorite film of 1980 is. It doesn't have to be a horror film. If you'd like, answer both. Mine is not even a question. It's The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, that's got to be it for me too. I think.
Not Superman 2?
Oh, god damn it!
Yeah. See, I thought about this ahead of time.
Yeah, and you didn't like let me know ahead
No,
of time.
because I wanted to put you on the spot because it's fun watching you squirm.
Yeah, kind of a dick like that.
I know, right?
uh, it's gonna be between Empire Strikes Back and Superman 2. I think it's gonna be between those two.
And then The Fog would be your favorite horror film.
Yeah, The Fog is definitely my favorite horror film in 1980.
All right. And now that you've seen me do this, you'll see me do this for 1981. So be ready. I will be asking every week,
Okay.
what is your favorite movie from that year? Just overall movie. So yeah, mine is definitely The Empire Strikes Back. I'm a giant Star Wars nerd. It's before the Disney takeover, and that's what I call it, even though they brought Star Wars. I knew every single thing. I read almost every single one of the novels, every comic, played every video game. I knew like people would call me, "Hey, what's the deal here in Star Wars?" Like I'd go into comic book shops and just talk Star Wars for hours. I even wrote a few Star Wars comics. So Star Wars is if I could do a Star Wars channel, I would, kids. Okay. When we get to 1989, it'll be Batman. Probably the same. Honestly, no. You know what?
No.
As much. What's your what? Go ahead. Let's get a little
89.
spoiler. 89.
Wait, somebody double check to make sure this movie came out in '89. I'm pretty sure it did, but
So mine would be either Batman or Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade. I like Batman Returns better, but like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade hits me in every feel possible. It's a father son story. That those always get me. The journey. It's the best one in my opinion. But the journey is great. I do love Batman though, and also Ghostbusters 2 is awesome.
my favorite film of '89, Lethal Weapon
Jason
2.
Takes Manhattan. Oh, Lethal Weapon 2.
Lethal Weapon 2. It's like one of my favorite action films of all time. I fucking
Yeah.
love it. I can watch that movie over and over and over again. Never get bored of it. Yeah, Lethal Weapon 2.
I'm not even going to bother asking 1988 because we already know what that is.
Yeah. The greatest movie ever made. Die Hard. Duh.
Boo. I haven't watched Die Hard forever. All right, so let's get back on track as we hit our number one, and nobody has any idea what it is. It should be the most obvious answer for 1980. It is The Shining. That is our number one horror film from 1980. And as much as we love The Fog, this is my favorite from 1980 for as far as horror goes, and it's probably in the top five overall because the 1980 does have some bangers, but there's nothing about this movie that I don't like, and I know maybe I don't know if would you consider yourself a King purist?
Not to a certain extent, because if you don't mind me just jumping in on my thoughts on this.
No, go for
As
it.
I've been saying for years now, I don't give a flying fuck what Stephen King says. Stanley Kubrick's adaptation of The Shining is excellent. This movie I watched when I was a kid. This movie was on TNT, and it creeped me the fuck out. And here's the irony here is, you know very well I'm not big into ghost stories at all. But this film grabbed me as a child. That sounded wrong. That sounded maybe I should reword that.
I was going to say something, but I was like, let him finish.
This is a movie that I have very fond memories of watching when I was younger, when it was on TV, when it was edited for TV. That scene where with the woman in the bathtub, that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. That was the scariest thing for me. I don't know why. But yeah, this movie's great. And I love the book too. Like, make no mistake, I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I've read a shitload of his books. I have a shitload of his books here in my house. But I just don't care what the guy said. The guy who said The Dark Tower was good is going to say The Shining's not good. Fuck you, right. Stephen King. With all due respect, because I do love him. But yeah, the Stanley Kubrick's adaptation of The Shining, I think, is a very effective horror movie. It's very unnerving. I love the score for it. I love the tension. I love the slow pacing of it. This was a movie too that I showed my youngest daughter a few years back when I was living in the trailer, and she was just so impressed with the technical side of it. Between the score and just the long shot, the long takes and the pace, and like she made a comment about how it's like a very unsettling film, and she ended up loving it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's The Shining in some ways. It's kind of a strange movie, and I don't mean that in the film itself, if that makes sense. It's one of those that a lot of people surprisingly love, and not surprising to me, but I know like for instance, Totally different movie. The Exorcist. My kids think it's boring, and I'm like, well, then you won't like The Shining, because they have somewhat of a similar pace in ways, and they love The Shining. I don't know what it is about The Shining that gets them or anybody, but I don't know. It's got some kind of power, and I think this is one of the best horror films ever made, in my opinion. And yeah, I read The Shining when I was younger, and the book is fine, but we've seen it played out in a miniseries, and it's just not as interesting. And Kubrick's vision alone, with King's work, it worked really well. And let's not forget, I mean, it's not just Kubrick's, direction, because there's a lot going on in that movie. There's a whole movie about conspiracies behind the making of The Shining, Room 237. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
Dude, it's so interesting. These people are fucking Looney Tunes, but it's super interesting. It's a must watch. You like the chair, there's a scene where he's sitting at the typewriter and you can see the chairs in the background, then they disappear and they have all these reasons why. And then when he's in the meat locker, the freezer, or whatever, and you can see these cans of, I don't remember what it is behind him, but it's got an Indian face on it, and it's supposed to be Kubrick's way of a Native American face on it, and it's supposed to be Kubrick's way of some kind of protest against white men taking the land of the natives or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it's a really interesting take on The Shining. You're watching it, and you're like, you just kind of think about it. Like they talk about that Kubrick may have filmed the moon landing and all that stuff. Really interesting. Room 237, if you can check it out.
Well,
But yeah, man, The Shining's excellent.
yeah, I mean, just one quick thing is, I think the book is good. Like the book is definitely really good, and there's a lot to it. With the Jack character sort of discovering all the stuff that happened at the Overlook throughout the years. Um, the differences for me between the Kubrick film and the TV miniseries is that while the TV series is more faithful to the book, Kubrick is a better director than Mick Garris, and he knows how to build tension. That's just something I didn't feel was there. So, like, while the TV miniseries was more faithful to the book, and I actually did like Steven Weber as Jack in that, but it lacked, I think, the necessary tension.
The last time I watched that, I was like, Steven Weber looks like Christian Bale. Like, I mean, I kept thinking, I was like, I think Christian Bale would nail a remake of The Shining.
You probably could.
I think he could. Yeah, you're very right, as usual, except for when it comes to your taste in Friday the 13th movies. But
Well, I mean, Final Chapter is better than
yeah, I'm really excited to getting some of these years where we've got one of the great Friday the 13th movies for your placement. Because 1984 also has the best horror film of all time, in my opinion, A Nightmare on Elm Street. So if Nightmare on Elm Street's not number one, I walk. I leave my creation, the Horror Syndicate. I bequeath I will bequeath the Horror Syndicate to somebody worthy.
Well, have no fear. I'm a huge Elm Street fan.
There you are.
More than
it's going to be number one because of you, me, and Nate. Really, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
That's a spoiler, by the way. 86 was Navigator. Oh, was it really? Jason Lives is definitely going to be near the top of my list. So, real fast. Tomorrow, Project Metal Beast on Werewolf Wednesday. Seth is back with all new episodes. So make sure what time are you going on tomorrow?
It'll be 9:30. 9:30 my time.
9:30.
9:30
Eastern. And of course, don't forget if you haven't liked us on Facebook or follow us on Facebook or subscribe to the YouTube channel, please do that. I will be posting another 30-second or so clip video or reel or whatever the hell they call them, YouTube short of the list we just did, which we can talk over this, which is cool. Here's our list from 1985, which we did the show on last week. Some great. Well, Jesus Christ, they are titty movies, the first few. How about that? Dimone. This was a fun list to do, I think, last week. I'm looking forward to digging into the rest of the 80s, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Do you think we should finish this up with a top 50 show of the 1980s?
Yeah, why not?
It'd be a long show, but it'd just be the two of us.
Yeah, we could do it. I mean,
If you guys want to see Seth and I do a horror movie massacre show, top 50 of the 1980s, it'll be like probably mid to late March. Let us know in the comments. Jared or somebody, did you do this or did Jared do this?
That's me.
Okay, so yeah, go see the original Hellraiser. Make that shit sell out. Get your tickets now. Yes, please. Yes, please. There we go.
I really want them to see interest in Hellraiser so we can get a new film.
Yeah, no doubt. Because I mean, that 2022 film was pretty great in my opinion.
I love it.
Yeah, I definitely would like to. Yeah, I'd like to see. That was in my top 4 or 5, I think, from that year. Yes, do 50. Okay, we will do a top 50 after we're all done with the rest of the years. We've got 1981 coming next week, then 82, 83, 84, 86, 87, 88, and 89, and then we'll be done. And then we'll do the top 50. That's going to be quite the episode, my friend. Get ready to wear a diaper because we're going to be here for a while.
That's going to be that'll be hard to rank.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because if we do, I don't know if I could do it with our actual top 10s or not. But I know Nate could shit out a top 50 list for 1980.
Well, I mean, I think we all could, but the problem is going to be like we're going to come across so many great ones. It's like, how do I put, Nightmare on Elm Street versus American Werewolf in London, or you know what I mean? Like,
you're asking the wrong guy, first of all, because I'll tell you, Nightmare on Elm Street's better.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, American Werewolf in London is my favorite horror film, period. So I'm just saying, for me personally, trying to figure out like the ranking.
I mean, it would be for you. It would be an American Werewolf in London for sure at number 1. And for me, obviously, it'd be a Nightmare on Elm Street. Probably Nate too. A Nightmare on Elm Street, I will warn people, will probably be, if not number 1, number 2 in the top 50 when we do it. Because
it'll be number 1.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be number 1 because you have a deep love for it. Yep. I mean, me, you, and Nate alone, we have the deepest affection for those first 4 or 5 movies. Especially the first 4. Yeah, exactly. And number 4 is our comfort movie, me and you.
Yep.
And I think Nate, it maybe doesn't feel the same way exactly, but Nate does have a love for number 4. And that'll be on our top 50, guaranteed. So we'll probably Halloween 4 for that matter, you know. So be ready for sequels in our top 50. It'll be fun though. I think it'll be fun. It'll be hard but fun, and it'll be harder for me because I'm the one who's going to have to place everything in the position. And the thing is, I'm not choosing favorites. I'm trying to do what I think Nate does, and I think I'm succeeding in a way because Nate always figures out a way to make these lists and make them work. You know what I mean? And like I was able to get in a movie that I don't even like, not even on my radar, Cannibal Holocaust, in this list, and Nate's movie, The Ninth Configuration, which none of us have ever seen. They were able to make the list lower on the list, but they're still there. So I absolutely definitely wanted to represent Jared and Nate since they did help put the list together.
Yeah.
And plus they're part of the Horror Syndicate family, which are all of you as well. Those of you who follow or subscribe, you are technically a part of the Horror Syndicate. What'd you say?
I said we are one.
We are one. We are Legion. Should we change it to the Horror Legion?
The Horror Legion.
Yeah. THL. Nah, it sounds like a delivery company. We deliver horror content to your face. Anyway, so if anybody's interested, I do have a 1-minute video of our top 30 for 2024. I can play it real fast. It won't be silent because Seth and I can talk over it. And then after that, we're done for the night. We did our top. Let's go through them real fast. Our top 10 from 1980, which Seth has to see a couple of these because
Yes.
I think 2 were left off from you: New Year's Evil and Terror Train for sure.
And
But we've
by
got.
the way, I do like both New Year's Evil and Terror Train. I like Terror Train better than you do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, I like New Year's Evil quite a bit because it's so dumb. But yeah, Terror Train is just kind of meh, you know.
Yeah, but
Last year, people saying that. But.
Last year, you and I did an episode on both Terror Train and New Year's Evil. It was one episode where we talked about both of those movies.
Yeah, it was fun too. Yeah, we did. Did we do it on New Year's Eve or was it right before? I can't remember. It wasn't this past year, but the year before, I believe, going into 2024.
Yeah, it was going into 2024.
Anyway. Okay, yeah. So we've got 10 Humanoids from the Deep. We've got Maniac, Cannibal Holocaust, The Ninth Configuration, Changeling, Inferno, Friday the 13th, City of the Living Dead, a fucking must. The Fog, a fucking must. Say it with me, Seth. The Shining, a fucking must. Come on, you could have said it with me. A fucking must. Okay.
A fucking must.
Yeah. And you know what else is a fucking must? Watching Seth do Werewolf Wednesday tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. Or if you're all the way on the West Coast, that would be 6:30, just in time for dinner. Which I still don't think we have very many West Coast followers, which is strange. Thank you for joining us. She's been with us, following us forever, man. Like I've seen her name pop up in reactions and comments probably since the beginning.
Yep.
And I really appreciate that, Kathy. I do.
In 1981, that's gonna be a year to talk about.
Man, I know. I think I shared my list of the ones I've seen. I think I've seen 18 from 1981. I mean, let's real fast. Let's talk about some of the movies that are from 1981 that could possibly be on our list, and I think it's going to be kind of tough. I mean, for instance, you got Halloween 2, great movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You got Evil Dead,
mm-hmm.
American Werewolf in London, The Howling, mm-hmm. Friday the 13th Part 2, mm-hmm. Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, The Beyond. Shit, man. The Burning. What else is there? The Funhouse. Shit. Madman. Maniac. No, Maniac was. We just did Maniac. Wolfen. Wolfen's in there, right?
Yep.
Piranha 2, I think was 80 or 82. My Bloody Valentine, which I'm not a big fan of. Oh, The Prowler. Yeah. So there's a bunch. And I'm going to be fair about these. I'm not going to just do my preferences because I do think that we would get taken to the woodshed if we don't add The Prowler to the list and My Bloody Valentine. People love those movies. And I get it. You know, horror is like a lot of slasher stuff, and people love slashers. Yeah, Friday the 13th Part 2 will most definitely be on our list. I think I'm going to look and see where Nate put it, if he did at all. Oh yeah, he's got it at number 4. Jared's list. I think Jared's list has done a list. Mine, let's see. Evil Dead's going to be on the. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting list. I'm surprised Nate didn't have an American Werewolf in London higher. I think I said.
Yeah, no, he's a traitorous bastard.
I'll let him know. Or you can text him. But anyway, yeah, if there's anything else, follow us on the Horror Syndicate Facebook page, subscribe, on YouTube, please. Got to get them. We got rookie numbers going on right now. And tomorrow I will post all 10 of our top 10 from 1980 on the Horror Syndicate throughout the day on Facebook. And then I will also have the videos uploaded at the end of tomorrow on our YouTube channel and right here on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook, or right here on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. So lots of stuff going on. I have been struggling to figure out what kind of content to do, but I think we're going to be okay for a while. Anyway, Seth, you got anything else you want to say about 1980 before we head out of here?
No, I mean 1980 it was a damn good year, and again, like we mentioned in the beginning of tonight's episode, it was one that I arrogantly thought I've seen a lot from, and turns out I didn't. So I got a lot of stuff to watch. So yeah, there's that. And then one last thing I do want to say before we go to is tomorrow night, Project Metal Beast for Werewolf Wednesday. If you haven't seen it, watch it before the Werewolf Wednesday show begins at 9:30. It's available to watch on Tubi.
There will be spoilers.
Yes, there will be spoilers. It's free on Tubi. There's a couple other places you can watch it. If you follow the link, I set up tomorrow's show already. So if you just click on the link for it on YouTube, there'll be links down below of where you can find it to watch. So watch it and then join me talking about this fun little B movie from 1995 with Kane Hodder as a werewolf.
And please do check out thehorrorsyndicate.com. That means a lot to us.
Yes.
And Kathy, this comment means everything to me. Holy shit. You see this, Seth? You are my go-to for all things horror. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me. Trekopedia's now he's just kissing ass. So thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, you guys have a great night. We will see you. Well, Seth will see you tomorrow. I don't know if we're doing Discourse this weekend or not. I got to ask Nate and Jared. But maybe on Sunday we'll see you again. One last comment before we go. No problem. All right. I love our followers, most of them. Not the ones who get mad at me about the Terrifier movies, though. Anyway, have a great night.